All right, and welcome back to another edition of the Change My Mind podcast.
I won't change my mind because I don't have to, because I'm an American.
Yes, you are, and I am Wesley Sykes. And to the other side of the ether is the Damian Wayne. To my booster gold, it's Mr. Nicholas J. Esquire, executive producer of DC for Hire.
You know what? Those I think actually make a little bit of sense because Lord knows I can get a little bit testy at times and a little unreasonable, and you tend to be a bit silly at times. I think that
I was
works.
going to say a loser who goes back in time to try to come off cooler than he actually is.
Well, okay.
Yeah, we'll hash it out.
Your words, not mine, but yeah, sure, we'll go that way.
This week, after the smashing success of last week's episode, we're going to be doing another round of Would You Rather. Of course, Would You Rather questions centered around movies, TVs, comic books, what have you, such as, and so on and so forth. But before all that, before to smash that like button and subscribe on YouTube, CMM Podcast, and follow us on Twitter under our rebranded handle at CMM_podcast. Of course, you can find our audio version of the podcast on Apple and Spotify. If you want to hand us a review, hit us like and subscribe, hit a download too. That's cool too. But let's get into it, Nick. What do you say?
Sounds like a plan to me.
What is your least favorite thing about the internet?
Well, you know what? Okay, so first of all, the I don't know if AI can count under this, so I'm gonna just sidestep that.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, I feel like we're gonna talk about AI stuff in a second, so maybe I'll just sidestep that for right now. But the other thing would be like the grip that it has on me. Like I don't I like the internet. I like having the apps that we have and everything like that, and being able to play. Like I do play like a mobile phone game that I wouldn't be able to do without the internet, all that stuff. But I hate West where there are times when I'm like, okay, I gotta get off Twitter and I gotta stop. And then it'll be like 10 seconds later or whatever. And then I'll go on my phone. I'm like, okay, let's go do something else. And then I somehow default back to Twitter right away. And then it's like, no, you wanted to not do Twitter, go do something else. Like that's fine if it's Instagram, if it's play like a game or whatever. But I just hate when that happens to me. So I mean, you could say it's Twitter that has a grip on me, but just in general, like it's insane.
That social media grip on what you're talking about, it's like you're not even thinking. It's like you're acting out of your spine. You're just reacting to go straight to Twitter, pull down and see what's coming up, or go see what's in the DM in the group chat or something like that, right?
Yep.
No, I'm with you on that. But I think for me, and why I thought of this to begin with was I was on it's like how unoriginal everything becomes on the internet. Like there's like, when you were a kid, you kind of like came up with like cool slang or a funny catchphrase, or like you maybe only a small group of friends watched a certain TV show, and like you didn't know that of its popularity elsewhere because you weren't connected to the rest of the world. But now, like, it makes like small inside jokes that you have with your group of friends like feel like, again, like unoriginal, or like, so like nothing, like everything's already been come up and everything's just a copy of a copy. Like, because I was on a message board site over the weekend, journalismjobs.com. You familiar with that? So yeah, just kind of on my normal website stuff, but they, it's like a message board where all like journalists kind of like also kind of like talk shit on the jobs that are being posted. So how cynical like the whole industry is, right?
Sure.
But one of the posters, one of the moderators on the site, his screen name was the Big Ragu. And he had been like a moderator for like 2012. This site's been around for like years and years and years, but I just thought that was so funny. Of course, Goo, that's where the nickname comes from the Big Ragu. And I'm not saying like he ripped it off from someone else, but it's like the idea that you could think of something originally on your own, and that's somewhere out there, that it's already been done, it's already been thought of, it's already been worn out. It's like the whole like Simpsons did it mentality.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like it does bring people together in some ways, but then you're right. It's like it's very like there are a lot of ways where it's just like they already like it's just kind of counterproductive in that way. That is a fair point, because I think when you look at like all certain apps too, where people start doing all these crazes and whatever, it's just like it can get tiresome. But
another great example of that, another timely example of that, the Kyrie Irving trade to Dallas. Like I don't know how many tweets I saw of people making like now Kyrie's going to have all the time in the world to go look over the Zapruder film or like the JFK, some form of that joke, like, and I'm not accusing people of stealing it from, whoever thought
Yeah.
it first, but like everyone thought that and everyone thought that was original, but it had already been played out a bunch of times already.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, it's funny that first person you see, and then afterwards, then it gets to the point where it's like, "What are we doing? Come on, guys." That's that. But see, like the first time I hear it, though, it still is funny. But yes, I don't.
Yeah,
I
no,
totally
it's
get
a
what you're
great
talking about.
joke. It's good, right? It works, but
Yeah.
I must have seen that like 4 or 5 different ways from like 4 or 5 different people. You know?
Yeah, you know what, I hear that especially with like gifts because I definitely try and use those a bunch, and I have some that like
Mhm.
I lean on a little bit, but like I feel like other people, at least what I see, others don't. But I hear you. Like I try and whenever I use them, unless it's like a certain staples that I have, then and that's like only like 2 or 3 or something.
Well,
I try. I just try
do
and
you
use
have a
different ones.
meme folder?
No, I just have like one of those
You just use like the GIF attachment on Twitter or like your messenger app, right?
or my phone, yeah, exactly. So, but I just try and never repeat the same ones unless there's like an
Mhm.
inside joke with somebody, and even then, I don't know if I have any of those. So, yeah,
Because
no,
I
I
think
just
some
always try
some
and make
people
this.
have like a meme folder, like a file. They just have keep them on a holster, like ready to go at all times.
That makes sense. I just always try and think of like the moment, the expression that I'm thinking of, or sometimes it's a certain individual. Like with the Kyrie stuff, like the first thing I thought of was Alexis from Schitt's Creek, and I thought of the moment where she's always like, I love this journey for you. And I was trying to think, does she ever say, I hate this journey for you? Because that's exactly how I felt in this moment for the Mavericks. And I couldn't find that. Like, I guess she's never said it. I asked Lauren, but there was like I hate this for you gift. I've never seen it before, but provided the same energy. So I just went with it.
Yeah, no, that's frustrating when you think you got a perfect gift and you can't find it either.
Ugh.
Can't search it the right way here. But yeah,
Mhm.
that's the disappointing part about the internet. The internet's great for so many ways. It's bringing you and I together with the rest of the world right now as we speak, as a crow flies. So,
This is true. Yep. Every time I
but
complain, it's like, we
it
don't have
does
the
suck.
DSG. Yep.
It
It does.
does suck.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
All right, trending now. Speaking of the internet here, there's an insider.com story. I just found this about a couple hours ago, just before we hit news here. Hit news? Is that a phrase? Went live.
Went
There we
live.
go. Yeah. An insider story about an AI Seinfeld parody Twitch stream. That's like a Mad Lib right there, trying to fill that in.
Mm.
Now, this Twitch stream's called Nothing Forever. And it's basically just an AI generated situations where they create all these sorts of situations that are Seinfeld like and suddenly become self-aware. Nick, let me see. Um, the full headline is: I watched hours of the AI generated Seinfeld series before it was banned for a transphobic remark. Beyond that scandal, it's also a frustratingly inane show. So that's not so much what I'm here to talk about. What I saw was that it was um, asking such questions like it was going on for so long, like what's my purpose, why am I still here, like why am I doing this,
Mm.
and that's like I feel like right up your alley because I know how much you're a big fan of the Boston Dynamic dogs. I think you're on the waiting list to get one for your home to maybe pair with your cat, but
Oh,
is this
man.
the sign of the apocalypse here? Like
Uh,
this is like Westworld stuff.
I think so. I'll tell you what, I feel like we haven't talked about AI stuff in a little bit, but we've seen it pop up now more. Like I know with the Associated Press years ago when they were using like AI to write stories, like smaller stories. And I do think that can serve a purpose, sure. But the problem is I don't trust people to not abuse those kinds of things and talk about putting people out of jobs and things like that. And then it's the same thing we've seen it with, I don't know how much you've seen it, but AI art has become a big thing past few months. I would say a lot of creators in
Chat
the comic book community.
GPT, all that, yeah.
So, and a lot of creators in the comic book creators have been like really against it, and I very much am, to the point where like if Lauren sends me a TikTok with like AI art, I'm like I'm not looking at this. Like I refuse to look at it. I don't want to support any of this. And it's like, and I know it may seem silly to some people, like, oh, what's the harm in it? Well, when the more and more people start looking at this stuff and utilizing these things, the more and more that the companies are going to want to use that instead of actual human beings to create art. And I'm sorry, I just have no interest in having a robot create something for me? Where's like just art is supposed to be about human expression above all else, whatever art form you're talking about. But when we're talking about literal painting, it's even more bananas. The only thing that might be crazier would be, I guess, music. But even then, I'm sure we've had that in some capacity. So
There are AI music. There's AI artists. Yeah, AI music artists. I think they're like on the top charts in some cases.
of course they are. Of
I
course,
think
they
one
are.
got canceled. I think it was an AI generated white rapper who said the N word,
Oh.
and that got canceled.
Well, I have no time for this. Like I'll talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but this I can't say that I've ever been more anti anything than AI. Period.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because like it didn't really bother me as much when it was like, oh, AI cars, self-driving, because it doesn't really affect me. I'm not a trucker. But now that it's moving in on the content creation space, like you mentioned, the AI art, Chat GPT is something that if you're
Yep.
not familiar with, Nick, you should be very, very familiar with soon, because that's pretty amazing. I've played around with it before. It can write you like pretty much anything, and like write it in the tone of this person, or write it in the tone of Stephen A. Smith, or write me a Dr. Seuss poem about X, Y, Z, and it's like pretty amazing how quickly it spits it all out. So much so that it's, may not be used for to replace like jobs like ours and stuff like that. But I think Microsoft just bought it as a search, like, as like a search engine,
Hmm.
which would be interesting, like almost using that instead of Google.
Interesting.
And now
That's
that's
wild.
something that I could be interested in. But
I
like,
mean,
of course, I don't want anyone to take our jobs, especially non-sentient beings.
well, I'll tell you what, if there's ever been a good time to be an editor in the business versus a writer, it's probably right now. As much as we know how to wear both hats, but they're gonna push out people. Like because I have no problem
Well,
if companies want to use it as an accent piece. Like that makes perfect sense. If you have the funds to use that and enhance what you do, absolutely, and then try and utilize people for other roles. But I don't trust that people aren't going to just say, "Oh, we'll do this to utilize them," and then eventually it's like, you know what, we don't really need these people. It's one thing if the people aren't good at their job and then you want to replace them and bring in someone new, but you're going to push that, like eliminate the position because of AI. It just
it's
grinds my
already
gears.
happening, man. You get the AI generated game recaps,
Yeah,
but those are pretty much non-essential now.
but like to an extent, I understand those because game recaps. How much people like other than high school sports and maybe college, like what, like a Red Sox Yankees game recap,
Right. Yeah.
and who is like a
Yeah.
straight.
No, I hear you.
Yeah, so that's my point. Like things that you want to have maybe because maybe you'll get a few things here and there, and you can let the robot do it because it doesn't waste time. Fine, but like a feature story on a young athlete, who's like persevered through all this different stuff. I don't want to read a robot, writing that.
Tough to capture the emotion of a
Yeah,
situation from
exactly.
an emotionless. Yeah, something without a heart.
Hmm.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. The end is nigh. Good news.
Yep.
Let's pop over to the big story here of the past week here.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Yeah, the DC James Gunn, Peter Safran, Chapter 1 slate,
Mm.
part of it,
Hmm.
entitled Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, I'm
It's a
very excited
mouthful.
about this. Yeah, yeah, yes, it is a mouthful, but I'm really excited about this. I think the fact. Well, do you want to just go through the list first before we dig into it?
Yeah, well, what'd you think of the video, the presentation, the unveiling first of all that? Because by now everyone knows what's out there.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. I think Gunn did a great job. I think he's really expressed like he addressed everything that needs to be addressed in the course of that discussion. And again, I've said before, like I don't love it that the whole, the like you have the soft launch and then the hard launch with Superman. I don't love that things always have to be centered around Superman. But at the same time, I still thought he did a really good job. It sounds like he has a cohesive plan. But I also love that as much as like, okay, we're doing this here and that there, and then we also have comic book influences and everything. I don't look at this and right away say, I know exactly what they're doing here. Like it's not like it's being
Right.
soft tossed to us.
Right. No, I agree with you too. It's not the Thanos Kang where kind of like the greater story.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Um, All right, so let's run through the DC Elseworlds first here, and I'm gonna. All right, so then you tell me something that you're excited about, something you're kind of not so excited about, maybe.
Mm.
So we got Shazam: Fury of the Gods. It's coming out very soon, right around the corner, actually. We have The Flash, Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2, and the Lost Kingdoms. Then, of course, the Batman Part 2, Reeves verse, Joker, Folle Adieu. And I believe Teen Titans is also going to be in Elseworlds. But anything that you're really excited about, kind of from this right now at the current moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, the only two that I would say like I'm extremely excited about is the second Joker movie and the second Batman movie. I think those are gonna be. I'm really glad we're gonna get to continue to have those as long as there's an audience for this rated R, these rated R movies and shows. Then you should keep feeding that audience, and it's a nice palate cleanser if it's just for adults. Kids are still gonna want to see it too because they feel more adult. The other one too. Look, there's a lot of there's an argument to be made that the Flash should not have been made because of all the craziness surrounding.
People are raving about this movie, Nick.
But Flashpoint is very interesting, and it is a really good thing to have at this moment in time with James Gunn and Safran trying to jump into their own stuff. So I'm the Ezra Miller stuff is a problem, no question about it. I would love it if it was someone else doing it. And honestly, this would probably be an instance where you could go and cast a different person and then still jump it into the next thing, and it wouldn't be as much of an issue, this next chapter. But at the same time, I am looking forward to seeing what they do here.
No, I can't wait. I think it's going to be good. And again, I think in spite of all the off-screen drama that surrounded this movie, I'm surprised that the reception has been so positive from a movie screening standpoint so far. So I'm pretty eager for that. I'm wondering what the deal is with Blue Beetle and Aquaman. They didn't announce Lobo. That was kind of like a not really so well kept secret rumor, but it still never really came to fruition. So that was so I thought that might have been something that would be announced. But I wonder how they kind of. Again, you have Aquaman, Jason Momoa, and then maybe you have Lobo, Jason Momoa. I wonder how you kind of work that out. So I'm with you on that. I also, just a quick side note, I don't like James Gunn's face.
Oh, well,
the white beard, like the ultra bleached white, that's not for me.
Well, that's gonna happen sometimes. I can't say I can't fault you there.
It feels pretentious.
Okay.
Is that?
No, I don't.
Am I off on that? Do you get that vibe? Or I don't like looking at his face.
I can understand how you find him pretentious. I'm not saying I get that vibe, but I can understand that.
It has a pretentious look. He may not be pretentious per se, but the look of him.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I just understand there are just gonna be times where you don't like someone's face. Like Joe Randa was the one that I the first face I think I ever hated. Former third baseman of the Kansas City Royals. Still can't stand him to this day. But yeah, so I'm there.
I hope he's watching out there. Let's get to the Chapter 1, Part 1 movies. Is there anything? I'll run through them again. Tell me something you're excited about, something that maybe you're disappointed by or want some more info on. Superman, Legacy. Batman, The Brave and the Bold. Maybe just The Brave and the Bold. I don't know. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And The Authority.
I'm excited about. If I was to rate them on a scale right now, I'd probably go with. Honestly, the Superman's the only one that I'm not as excited about as I am the other three. Quite honestly, I'm just not a big Superman guy. I'm not saying I'm not gonna like it. I did like Henry Cavill's Superman movie, but I just generally speaking don't look as forward to it as much. But it does seem like the comic book community and the creators specifically are starting to talk more and more about what Superman is supposed to be and how maybe there's been deviation from it over the years. So I'm open to it. I'm always open to it. But for me,
trunks or no trunks, the hard-hitting questions.
Exactly. But Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, that's based on a Tom King series, which I believe James Gunn talked about. I loved how he mentioned specific comic book runs. That's great. Brave and the Bold, Grant Morrison. But I'm actually going to read the Supergirl story. I had not read it, but the way he talked about it, he instantly sold me on that series. And I know that comic, Brave and the Bold, and there was a third one, I can't remember, but the sales have been up since James Gunn talked about it. So
I was just going to say that. I think, he gave him a good bump on that too. So that's interesting. Good news. Good job by you from the comic book guy.
Thanks. Yeah, so I'll be talking about Joe and I are going to talk about what ones we want to be looking into because that bringing in Damian Wayne is great, and I don't think Joe's read that run on, nor have I. And then the Authorities very much untapped territory for us.
Well, so I would have thought you would have gone the Brave and the Bold just right off the bat, no questions asked about
Mm,
what you're most excited about, just because of your clamoring for the Bat family here. Now, and I
yeah.
don't know as much about it, but from what I've heard and what I've kind of seen in the breakdown since his announcement, is that Damian Wade's like what the fifth or sixth Robin, so there might be a more of an established Bat family already kind of within the universe, maybe a more of a history of a rogues gallery to play with. You don't have to maybe spend as much time introducing
Mm.
some of these characters.
Right. Yeah. He is the fourth male Robin. There, depending on how they handle the continuity, there have been I think it was two female Robins. I know of one for sure, but actually no, one of those female Robins came later. But anyways, the point is that he's the fourth male Robin, his actual son. But yeah, this also means Talia. I thought you were actually going to say because Talia al Ghul should be in the mix here, and I love me some Talia al Ghul. She was
Oh,
good.
yeah.
She was good in the Dark Knight Rises, but she's
Hmm.
not nearly as good as what she can be in the comics. She's like this.
Okay.
She's got more assassin vibes versus like calculated killer vibes in the movie with Bane. So I am very excited for that.
And I think my question here is if this is going to be connected to a greater story, kind of a greater connective tissue. If you have maybe an older Batman in the Brave and the Bold here with
Mm,
the older Batman, younger Damian Wayne, then you have a Superman legacy, which has kind of been billed as maybe not an origin story so much as maybe like a young year two, year three Superman. And I
mm,
wonder how that continuity works whenever they meet up down the line.
hmm Yeah, yeah. I have been wondering about the Superman one more than any other ones because again,
But
when
I'm
you
I'm
talk,
interested who they cast for
yeah,
Superman. That's my big interest on that.
and I saw someone tweet this out. I can't remember who it was, but like we probably don't know, like we are unaware probably of that's like the human being that's going to play Superman. Like we don't know
Yeah,
that.
I agree. I
It's how it
think that's
should
how
be.
it should be.
Yep.
Ah, look at that. Look at
Look at
that.
us.
And we haven't said anything about the Authority. What do you know about the Authority? I hear that's supposed to be kind of like a violent Suicide Squad
Yeah,
esque type thing.
they're all over the place, and that's one I have not read their story. I am familiar with Midnighter, and I can't remember who his like significant other is. But they're kind of a big deal. But I'm not as familiar with the Authority, so I'm excited to learn more about them. Hopefully, we talk about them on TLDR at some point. But I definitely want to read some of their stuff before we get these things.
All right. So from the chapter one movies, nothing blows me away. I'm not like pants off, dance off for anything here. The Brave
Okay.
and the Bold's interesting. Superman Legacy is kind of interesting. But I think when we get to these chapter one TV shows, I think this is kind of where you get my attention and you get more of the high and the lows here. The movies feel more like a hit for average type of guy, but this
Mm,
guy's swing for the fences through true outcomes TV shows here. So we
yeah.
got a Lantern show, a Waller show. People have been clamoring for that. Creature Commandos, an animated show, if I'm not mistaken. Paradise
Right.
Lost, which is a Themyscira prequel show, and Booster Gold,
Yeah.
which is again, we can get into that a little bit later. But
Mm.
anything that really jumps out at you, and what do you like and what don't you like?
So actually, when you bring up the animated stuff, I love that it's gonna all be related still. Like James Gunn addressed
Yes,
that
yeah,
directly, and I love that. Please use the animated stuff when you have like DC. I've talked about it a ton how they've had really quality animated shows. Even when the DCEU was the mess that it was, like they were putting out great animated show. So while I don't know a whole lot about Creature Commandos, I'm very interested in that. And monsters and everything. I could definitely give that a shot. But I would say the two I'm most excited about. The Themyscira stuff sounds interesting. Waller sounds interesting. But Lanterns and Booster Gold, I cannot wait for. Comparing this Lanterns show to like True Detective is a little aggressive because of like how everybody feels about True Detective, especially the first season. But it's like I get it. Like you're trying to go for a darker thing and some like trying to look into the creepy corners of the universe. Okay, cool. I'm in for that. You're getting both Stewart and Jordan. Let's do it. Booster Gold. I've read some Booster Gold stuff, and he is a total freaking clown. I wonder if they have a chance to like if they end up like trying to turn him into the Deadpool of the DC universe. Now we know that Ambush Bug
Oh,
is really the Deadpool of the DC universe because of our
right.
former resident guy in the chair, Tim Weisberg. But Booster Gold is different from Deadpool, but similar enough where they can like he can be that weird guy that people like really enjoy. Like you'll pull in random people because of him. They are not the same person, but I just wonder if that's the route they kind of go with him because it makes a lot of sense that they would do that and put him out this early as a result.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of intrigue. He's moving the needle for me a little bit there because he seems kind of like a brash. I think the early comp or the early fan casting has been Chris Pratt, which I think would be interesting. That type of like false bravado type of guy. But
Interesting.
yeah, so I think that definitely has some my interest. And I think when I was looking up photos for the cover art of the episode, I kept seeing him pictured with Blue Beetles. I don't know if that
Yes.
works.
It's a different
That's
Blue
the same
Beetle.
Blue Beetle. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the different Blue Beetle. I think I know there have been two. That one's it's Cord is his last name, Kord. I can't remember if it's Tim Cord. But that other one's the other Blue Beetle is Hispanic. And I can't remember his name. But I saw you just added into that we forgot to mention Swamp Thing.
Yes.
I have not read much Swamp Thing stuff over the years, and I'm going to change that now because I am very, very excited for this show, and I don't quite know why. Maybe it's just because it's going to be horror, it's going to be darker, and I know people felt good about the show, but I really trust James Gunn with this one.
Yeah, I'm interested with it too. And again, that was something that James Gunn said that tonally, not everything's going to have the same feel to it as well. So I think that the horror aspect for this is a character I remember having like the action figure as like a hand me down for my brother. So I remember my brother was really into it. So I don't really remember much else about it. So I would like to see his backstory. Very interesting stuff there. That's on my list. Number one is Lanterns. And I know you mentioned this with the true detective type thing. I don't know how I feel about James Gunn using things like True Detective season 1 or Game of Thrones like to describe it. I understand it's like an elevator pitch and you're trying to get people in quickly in like a short video. Although when he said that, it worked for me. So like I was immediately in. Yeah, when he was talking. So that's my number one show there.
Yeah,
I could take or leave Creature Commandos. I don't really see the appeal for Paradise Lost. If it's something that's not really going to involve Wonder Woman, that doesn't really. I don't know. It's like maybe again, like I don't know. Maybe
there's some cool. There's some cool Amazons. We don't really like. Obviously, there's like Hippolyta's the queen, but Artemis is actually my favorite Amazon, and then Nubia is a badass too. So there's a few other ones in the mix. I get your point. You don't know the other ones, but like there's some other cool ones in there. And actually,
if it's cool visuals, cool CGI and stuff like that, like that could get me into it. But again, like with some of these things, I'm defaulting to the greater story. That's where Lanterns is kind of getting me involved because again, that was something that James Gunn made a point of saying that this is going to kind of launch or really kind of let the viewers know what the greater story, the greater plot really is for this first chapter.
Yeah, and when you bring up the elevator pitch too, like that is a big thing when it comes to like getting comics created. It's like this meets that. So while I'm with you and like True Detective and then Game of Thrones, I forgot about that. Like that's aggressive. At the same time, it's like it stood out to you and I. Like it's still
right. I mean, we're talking about it. Yeah, we remember
100%.
Yeah.
So it is a good move. It's aggressive to go those routes, but at the same time, like we don't want you playing conservative either. I'm sure we pick it apart either way. If we're being honest. And the other thing with Swamp Thing too, I'm all excited about the character individually, but also like I knew what it was. It was digging deep down in me. Swamp Thing goes hand in hand, largely with John Constantine. So like that is very much a place where he could be introduced. Like he better be introduced, honestly. Then.
Well, I was wondering if you were disappointed that there was no John Constantine announced here because we know that James Gunn likes to do kind of the weird and the offset. Oh man, I had a lot of protein bars. Really getting beefy here. But yeah, James Gunn really likes to go kind of off the beaten path here a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we get that with Creature Commandos, the Authority. That type of thing, but no disappointment for John Constantine.
Well, look, I mean, I want Constantine yesterday. I want Constantine, I want Red Hood, I want Deathstroke. Like those are my guys, 100% through and through. I want Artemis, like, and that's why I'm excited about Paradise Lost in that regard. Like she could get introduced there. But I also understand, like we've talked about it when it comes to the MCU. A big reason that like I will not buy into this. Like, sure, are people fatigued about the MCU a little bit? Maybe, but it's never fully gonna lose its steam because you still have your ace in the hole and you've barely used your Spider-Man and I know he's gotten used a little bit more, but like
Mhm.
recently, but he still hasn't been used to his fullest extent, and you don't have the X-Men at all. Like so
Yeah.
you have all of this. When we look at all of this, the DC stuff, yes, we're using Superman and Batman, but Wonder Woman, she's still like in the holster. Constantine is not on their level, but he definitely has like people know who he is and like him because of if not the comics, because of what Keanu Reeves did years ago. So
Sure. Yeah.
like I think it's smarter to introduce a Swamp Thing and then bring in Constantine and then use Constantine more later than go Constantine right off the rip, because then it's like, oh, Swamp Thing's cool, but like I'm not going to care about a Swamp Thing show. But now people can get invested in him.
All right. All right. Now, I think that wraps it up there. What do you say we start the stopwatch on Nick's comic book minute here?
Ah, a superb choice.
All
I
right.
love
What
that
do we
thing.
got brewing here?
I love that thing. So, look, I don't want to. We're not doing what's new this week, so we're not getting into all the new releases coming out. But there's plenty of Marvel, DC. Not as much from Image as Joe and I would normally like. It's only Teenage Wasteland is out from Dark Horse this week, which is a book that I've been reading. But what I do want to let you guys know, since we're not doing what's new, we never skip an episode. Just like on Change My Mind, I do want to let you know that we are going to have an interview dropping for you guys on Wednesday.
Ooh.
Back-to-back interviews. Last week, I teased Dark Horse. We had the VP of marketing and one of the editors from Dark Horse on the show last week. This week, we have the editor of the Massiverse, Michael Busatil, and I probably said that wrong, but either way, he is so the Massiverse is Radiant Black, Rogue Sun, the Dead Lucky. You guys, if you guys read comics, you've probably heard about them in some capacity. So really fun conversation there. So this past month, it's been the head of AWA, who's also the former editor-in-chief at Marvel. We have two big-time decision makers at Dark Horse, and then the editor of the like budding, blossoming shared universe over at Image Comics. So it's been a pretty like if you're new to comics, or if you're interested in getting into comics, that's a good time to go check some of these interviews out to get the lay of the land and learn some stuff about what's going on at some of these publishers that aren't just the big two.
Wow, big things going on at the TLDR podcast. The blue check mark TLDR podcast on Twitter. That one almost came out of the mouth a little wrong there, but check them out nonetheless. Love that. Now let's slide over to our main topic here. A little would you rather.
Would you rather?
All right. So, it's been a little bit of time since last week here, so we can refresh the viewers at home on how this game is played. Each of us came to the podcast with about 10 or so would you rather questions related to movies, pop culture, comic books, TV shows, music, what have you, so on and so forth. And we simply answer them. Just going to go a little back and forth, going to shoot the shit a little bit. Fun time.
This was a great idea out of Wes. We did 5 apiece last time on the question, so 10 in total. We'll probably stay in that realm with this going forward, but we do have additional questions that some left over from last week, some that we've made up since last time we convened. But I am very excited to do this. I'm starting to get worried, Wes, as I'm making some of these questions, like the ones that I had left over from last week, like I may use all my new ones today. And it's like, I don't want to just have these sitting on the sideline forever. They're not bad questions, but it's like, I don't know.
Well, we could find a way to work them in a little bit more here. Let's, why don't you lead us off here? Hit me one.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to just go against what I just said, and I'll use one of my ones that I had left over from last week. A nice little table setter, Wes, for you here. So would you rather grab drinks with Captain America or Cyclops?
Interesting. Both a little uptight.
Yes.
However,
you're not gonna be able to let loose.
Yeah, but I feel like if Cyclops did let loose, like I wouldn't want to mess around with his glasses or his plasma
Mm,
blaster or whatever. Like that seems like a situation that I'm not sure if I would want to get involved with maybe 10, 12, 15 beers deep or so. Captain America, I mean, listen, I know I'm usually team team Tony Stark here, team Iron Man,
yeah.
but to be able to sit down with a living war hero, throw some back. I mean, that's the real American dream, isn't it?
Yes, I believe it is, but I'll tell you what, I think your first bit of logic is why we're aligned on this one. I would go with Captain America as well. At first, I look at it as, yeah, they're both uptight, but I think when you just sit back and think about it for a bit, Cyclops, like, you're inclined to get lectured by him if he's not going drink for drink with you. Obviously, Captain America can't get drunk because of his metabolism. So not only
Mm.
is he going to be nice and take care of you, but he's also probably going to be the guy who ends up driving everybody home too, or he'll just carry you home, whatever. Like I'm not
Oh,
opposed to that.
interesting.
Yeah.
See, I think he knows how to have a good time too. He's been
Yes.
in the army. He knows how to let loose, let his hair down. So,
Yes.
Captain America's my choice. That's a good amuse bouche.
Yeah. So just a nice little table setter, so we can really get intense on these next few. What do you got for me though?
Okay. This one, well, we do have Valentine's Day right around the corner here, so
Grrr.
perhaps fitting. Would you rather have to survive one MMA round against Yelena Belova or Natasha Romanoff?
Oh man. I think it's got to be Black Widow because as
Which
much
one?
well, okay, I guess I consider Yelena White Widow.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know, I know.
but yeah, I got to go with Natasha because
So
I
this
don't
is
know.
who you think you would survive with, like you would be able to beat. Like, so you think
No,
you would
okay, I don't think I'd be able to beat either one of them. If you're at
like you have a better chance of. That's the question.
okay, I think all right. I think if I have a better chance of beating, it's probably gonna be White Widow because Black Widow's like one of the like she's the Black Widow. Like she's number
Mm,
one with a bullet. At the same time, I do think she's a lot more forgiving. So if we're talking when you said survive, I thought you meant like not die. I didn't think you meant
okay,
like
or that too. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay. Well,
because
yeah.
I
Does that
think
change your answer?
it does. So like if it's not die, it's Black Widow. If it's okay, who I have to try and like beat one of them, who like you know, I have to go with White Widow. I just don't think she's as good of a fighter. As much as she's more likely to kill me, she is less likely to beat me as much as she will. But yeah,
Mm-hmm. I think this is tough. So
this is a
when I
tough
think
one.
of Natasha Romanoff, I think of like her being a more skilled chokehold artist, like a good
Hmm.
grappler. Maybe more so than Yelena, who feels more like a bruiser.
Hmm.
Am I off on that? I don't know. That's just kind of
No,
my perception when I look at it. So like
I can see that.
if I'm in an MMA fight, like I would want to have to take my chances with the bruiser in that shit because like I have no skills on the ground. I'm not a grappler. I wouldn't know any of that technique. I feel like
Hmm.
her Widow patented move of like jumping up and like getting her ankles around your head and then twisting down into like some sort of a spin move. Like I feel like that's just like waiting to happen in the cage circle there. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, give me Elena on that one. I feel better about my chances with her.
Now, what about when you twist it to the other angle that I was looking at? It was like if you're like worried about, like, let's say it's like a battle to the death. Like who? No, because then
Yeah,
it's just battle of
still
death. You know what I was talking about
because
though.
she
Like
gets me in a chokehold. I think yeah.
I guess I mean what I mean is like I feel like Black Widow is more likely to just like she'll stop like before killing you. She'll like try and find a way to not do that. White Widow won't.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's
I
my
guess I'm
logic.
not thinking about this. May say a lot about me here. I guess I'm not thinking about them very much as I am thinking about myself.
Gotcha. Oh, there you go. Okay,
Yeah, that might be a peek behind the curtain.
look at that.
Uh, what do we got up next?
Okay. All right. So, okay. Hmm. We have ones that kind of cross, like are fairly similar. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at my number 9, I think you know which one is fairly similar to yours, but it's a bit different still. But I'm gonna go with this one next, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay? All right. So,
Yeah, go for it.
if you were being held captive, but had the ability to pick out who would track you down? Who would you rather have being the detective to try and save you and find you? Ace Ventura or Eddie Valiant from Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
This is tough. I don't like Ace Ventura.
Ooh.
I don't like his hair. It doesn't do it for me. In the hierarchy of 1994 Jim Carrey movies, it's probably number 3 for me.
Oh, that hurts. Oh,
Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, Ace Ventura. So I'm going to go with Eddie Valiant there because he knows his way around blending in with different cultures.
yeah.
Like he can get answers from people that you may not look exactly the same of, which can be tough to do in certain situations.
It can be, but I mean, like if you think, oh wow, I didn't expect. I was a little worried it was going to be too obvious because I think Ace Ventura is just the better detective. He at least has he has a clearer mind. He knows how to work with animals. He knows how to be a little bit stealthier. Yes, he can be a bit of a buffoon at times, but he gets the job done.
Yeah, but he's a pet detective though. I'm a human.
But he's also figured out. He's solved murders. We've seen him do that. I mean, Eddie works with tunes. And I'm not a tunes guy. I can't even say that with a straight face. Everybody knows I am a tunes guy. So, but no, I think Ace Ventura is much more trustworthy.
Wow. Yeah, no, I couldn't do it. Wouldn't be for me. I'd say no, thank you on that help from old Ace.
When I got sick a while back, like around the holidays, a little before that, I actually rewatched Who Framed Roger Rabbit for the first time in ages, and I had no idea that like Christopher Lloyd was in that.
Oh yeah, he's a bad guy. He's a scary dude.
I just didn't, as a kid, I just didn't know. I think I was never that age to like really realize, oh my God, that's Christopher Lloyd. Like I don't know. It just wasn't, I don't know.
Would you rather be on a heist team led by Danny Ocean or Scott Lang?
Danny Ocean. You know what? That's a tough one actually, because obviously they're both good in their ways, and Scott's very smart. I think Danny's the better planner, but my problem is that his stuff is so particular. And like I feel like the mechanics of his plans, it's just I like feel like I'd fuck it up. But like Scott Lang, whatever he's doing, I'm not saying that I couldn't do it. Like I just feel like it'd be a little bit simpler. Maybe I'm wrong because Danny does deal with some
But that wouldn't give you faith that if you just did exactly what you were told that it would work.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I'd have to go with Danny Ocean then. Yeah, as I'm talking about, I was like, Danny Ocean's got to be the way.
Because for me, this was like I almost regretted even writing this question down because it's not even it's Danny Ocean. If for no other reason other than what you already mentioned, then you just living the life of luxury in like a sick ass hotel with like a bunch of cool dudes, just broing out, having a good time. Scott Lang seems to be living in squalor, so
yes.
like he gets a lot of help from Hank Pym. So, Danny Ocean is the mastermind. I know he's got Brad Pitt there, but he's really it's Ocean's 11. It's not Pitt's 11.
Brad Pitt's just there to look good and make sure that there's always food around. That's about it.
Yeah, he's always eating something. Yeah.
Yes, he really is. But hey, you know what? The man knows how to eat things. I got to give him that.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's Danny Ocean 100% of the time.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Okay. I'm actually kind of proud of this one. I'm curious. I'm obviously curious where you go here. So you do not get any powers with the answer to this, with either answer to this question. Okay. This is all about vanity.
Okay.
Would you rather be a mutant humanoid turtle, so obviously Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or have the demonic appearance that is similar to that of Nightcrawler or Azazel? So it could be blue skin, could be red skin, whatever. Not the point, more so the demon look.
Yeah, no, you say no powers, but there's obviously strength involved with being a humanoid turtle.
Well, you have a demon appearance. Like, I mean, yes, I would say,
but not like super. You're not like,
Yes, you're strong. You're probably stronger than most human beings as a humanoid turtle. That's it, though.
Yeah. That's tough because either way, you can't really like. Maybe Nightcrawler or Azazel just because like you look like a regular person.
Yeah.
And then like nowadays people are so weird anyway with like face tattoos and stuff. I mean, that's
Mm.
you can just say you're like punk rock or something.
Oh, but I'm thinking like, but when I say those two, like we're talking like Azazel has red skin, Nightcrawler has blue skin. Like you don't have that same like we're not white in this case. Yeah, the
Well,
normal like
I
not
don't see color, Nick, so I'm not
okay.
sure what you're
Mm,
referring to here, but
hmm
of course, but
hmm
no, no, I mean, I think like if you're a turtle, you can't really hide. These guys they got to wear trench coats and like hats and stuff, and even then they still stick out like sore thumbs,
mm.
But like, you can hide the tail, you can wear a mask, you can practice social distancing if you're Nightcrawler or Azazel. Give me those guys.
Yeah, I'm trying
And
to.
the tail might come in handy more than you know.
This is yeah, well, it sucks because I didn't want to agree with you. Well, we've agreed disagreed on one. I was trying to talk you off my side. Because I definitely Nightcrawler and Azazel. Like I think every bit about that is cool. Like, yeah, it's gonna scare the shit out of people when they start seeing like you got the 3 fingers and the 2 toes or
Oh, but
whatever.
yeah, but so does the mutants, or so does the Ninja Turtles, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, it's a little bit harder to hide. And I don't know. I just think I like the look more. I mean, I don't know. Like we've seen it as a human. I forget the actor's name in X2, but it's pretty terrifying. Especially with the
Hmm.
yellow eyes and everything. And obviously Azazel in the what is it? Not Days of Future Past, First Class. But yeah,
Hmm.
I'm going that route every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's see here. Who would you rather have as a dorky sidekick? Carlton Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Urkel from Family Matters, or Screech from Saved by the Bell?
Hmm. I'm taking
Little menage a trois action.
yeah, you do a good job with these. I don't not Urkel. Would not have Urkel.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
see, like I Screech is extremely loyal, but I also question.
Can you get chicks with them?
Well, it's not. I wasn't. I mean, that's a fair point, but I didn't. I wasn't thinking about it like that. I think I'd have to go. I mean, can you with Carlton? Like
He's
Urkel's
rich.
Urkel's well, that there you go. I would say Urkel's probably your best route there, but I'm probably gonna go. I'm gonna go with Carlton in this one because he does have the money, to back you. I mean, they're all like good dudes and everything, but I think like when it comes down to it, that's the big advantage that he has over everybody else.
So I'm immediately getting rid of Screech despite his prowess in the porno universe.
Yeah. R.I.P.
He might be actually the one that you want to take out as a wingman. Then, he
Mm.
apparently he's got a monster dong.
Oh,
But
jeez.
no, but from Screech, not the actual actor Dustin Diamond, but Screech is much younger than everyone else in Saved by the Bell, so he's kind of like the little brother that's tagging along.
Mhm.
I would not go with Carlton because he does have money and he is rich and he's kind of like a goody two shoes dork. I'm not sure
Mm.
if that would help the vibe. But
That's a good point.
Urkel, on the other hand, is a scientist. Now, while it might be able to use Carlton's money, uh, Urkel can pretty much build anything. Time
Mm.
machines. He could transform himself into Stefan or Urkel, good wingman, or he can help me. Maybe I can turn into Wesley Sakikes.
There you go.
Nope, that's not it. That's not it right there. But something like that. So give me Urkel. He can offer the most to me.
Wesley Psycho.
Yeah, that's better than what I came up with.
Okay. Speaking
Have
of
the
Psycho,
ADL after me.
what was it? Do I want to go with that one? Yeah, I have to after the transition. Okay. All right. Wes, would you rather put your life in the
Mm.
hands of Norman Bates from, of course, the movie Psycho, or Patrick Bateman from American Psycho?
Yeah, this is no question. I don't want a mama's boy. I don't want my life in the hands of a mama's boy.
I,
Someone who's still combing his dead mother's hair. Like Patrick Bateman, although he is a psycho and you can't really trust anything behind those cold dead eyes, he's at least a capable person on his own.
he is a capable person on his own, but
What
he
is he
is
talking to himself?
I feel like he's much more. I think he's much more inclined to take you out than Norman Bates is. I mean, I'm talking about like us. I feel like we would be in a okay situation if it's Norman Bates. Patrick Bateman, you have no clue.
Well, when you say like put your life in the hands of like riding passenger in a seat in a car with him, or
That's a
like,
fair point. It's a vague way to put it. I guess you are staying like you have to stay over with them. Like you have to so your life is in their hands because they are both lunatics, but you have to like spend the night at their respective home.
okay. If in that case, I mean, if that is the case, for the same reasons why I wouldn't want to put my life in the hands, like I thought you were saying, like someone like would have to protect me. You know, I thought that's what it
Mm.
would be.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. Then that's fair. Then it's Patrick Bateman.
but for those same reasons, it's also Norman Bates because he's a mama's boy, and I feel like I would have the best chance to survive against someone like that than Patrick Bateman, who seems again very focused, very goal driven, and very like single minded. There we go.
Mm. Hmm. Okay. I'm. Yeah, if I'm getting taken care, like if it's putting your life in your hands, that's not well put. I probably like if you're someone to defend you, protect you, then yeah, it's probably Patrick Bateman. You're right, but where I was kind of thinking, I lean more Norman Bates because I think he'd be a little bit of a safer play as much as he's. I mean, they're both on well, but I
And
never
and
realized.
Patrick Bateman has a small apartment, so if I had to stay there, the area that I would have to protect myself in, it would be like fighting in a phone box, phone booth against Bateman. But Bates, we would have the whole motel, so maybe there's a little bit of bigger map to play with.
Yeah, and you know what? I never when I wrote this, I noticed like the psycho thing. I mean, that's kind of why I did it. I didn't originally have Norman Bates as my option. I forget who it was, but I didn't realize like we have the psycho, and then it's also Bates and Bateman. That's like when you talk about things not being original.
Well, yeah, right. And you missed the opportunity for a third person in there, or Jason Bateman. I don't know. Something to think about. But would you rather be Tom Cruise's stunt double or be on the wrong end of one of his tirades?
um,
Because Tom Cruise does some shit.
Tom Cruise does his stunts, so I'd rather be a stunt double because then I'm not gonna have to. I'm just
Oh,
gonna
that's
collect a
fair.
paycheck. No, but
He doesn't do all his stunts though.
if you actually had to do some of his okay, so under the premise of he actually doesn't do all of his stunts, then I would rather be on the wrong end of one of his tires because if Tom Cruise isn't willing to do the stunt, then I'm all set.
Yeah, isn't he doing like free climbing facades of buildings and like stuff like that, like with no ropes and like you watch some of this, it's amazing. It's amazing some of the stuff that he does. Crazy human being, but very intense, single-minded, dead-eyed, very much like Patrick Bateman, is
Mm,
Tom Cruise there.
yes.
So that's like the power of like motivation, so
Yeah.
that
I
this him do all like doing the majority of all of his stunts is the reason why I don't want to put my life in the hands of Patrick Bateman.
sure.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Um all right. So my last one, I have a few that well, this is good. I'll have plenty of good ones in the holster. So my last one that I actually came up with ahead of today is a little bit of an odd one, but I was trying to think of like what weird weapons that you could have to like protect yourself with, and I we'll set it in like zombie apocalypse just to kind of keep all things fairly simple. Unlimited ammo because this is a ranged weapon. Would you rather be stuck with for a weapon in the zombie apocalypse with a musket or a crossbow?
No, crossbows. This isn't one of the new fancy ones that are like easy to load and like all that sort of thing. You're talking about like an Elsa Bloodstone, like
I'm talking like
old
okay,
school crossbow.
just to put some I did a little bit of research and
Oh,
like
okay.
with the crossbow apparently it takes 60 seconds to reload. I don't know, I only one source, whatever, but whatever.
Okay, that's good
Um
enough for me.
a musket takes apparently like for good soldiers 20 seconds to reload. So one bullet in each case.
and you have unlimited ammo.
You have unlimited
Either
ammo.
one, man, you're fucked.
Yes.
If you got more than one running at you, man, you're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, you can get two with both of them, like because like the bullets could like pass through, or the bow could like, or the bolt, because
Yeah.
crossbow shooters could pass through. But yeah, that's why I'm glad you feel that way, because I was doing this. I'm like, this doesn't seem like an open and shut thing. I hope Wes doesn't feel that way, and I'm not seeing it.
Now I'm tempted to go with the crossbow, but now this shows my ignorance towards weaponry here. I wonder about the spray radius of the musket. Is it like a shotgun that just kind of like hits a short range blast that sprays, or is it just like a small cannon that comes out of it?
It's like a small cannon that comes out of it. It's a small like ball, like a tiny little thing that comes out. Like, because I feel like I remember reading somewhere like it used to like if you got shot in the leg with that thing back in the day, like you're losing that leg. It's not like not that that doesn't necessarily happen now, but I feel like you're much more inclined to like get a bullet pulled out. A musket ball, nope, it's like breaking shit.
Interesting. I think I'm still going to go with the crossbow, although I'm dying either way. So
yeah, I think I'm dying either way. I kind of so in the end, I feel like I'm more like I feel like I'm more likely to. I'm going with a musket. Okay, the reason is because I know you
how
can't.
patriotic.
Thanks. Obviously, you can't. We're not talking about like getting a knife in all this, but if you came across one, you could, of course, attach a knife to the end of your musket. That does give you a nice up close weapon. And I think when you
Oh, that
look at
feels cheap, Nick. I don't know if I should allow that.
now, in fairness, that's if you came across a knife. That's not necessary. Of course, like we're saying, it's not. You don't have that. You're not given that.
You're talking about a bayonet at that point.
Yes. But even take that out of the equation. If you have to use these in like a hand-to-hand situation, I feel like you're in a better spot if you use a musket. It gives you a little bit more range. It may not be quite as strong as a crossbow, but the range I think is gonna make up for that. You could trip them up, and then again we're talking zombies, so I don't know which.
I like that. Okay, all right. There's some good thought there for you.
Tough.
Who would you rather have as a pet? One of the dragons from Game of Thrones, or all of Ratcatcher 2's rats?
See, I guess my question here is, do I have the command over these animals, or do I have the ability to have the command over these animals, like the Targaryens?
Oh yeah, sure. You're Daenerys. You're Ratcatcher 2. Yeah.
Give me a dragon all day then. I mean, come on, that's so.
But
cool.
you still got to clean up after it too. It's despite having the powers of those individuals, you're still Nick Fryer, everyday guy.
Okay, yeah, but I think any human being, be it Nick Fryer, everyday guy, or Wesley Sykes, citizen scientist, it doesn't matter. You're gonna if you have a dragon, you're not cleaning up after anybody else.
What's the insurance policy on that? You know how much damage that thing's going to cost? Like your progressive insurance is going to be through the roof. You're going to need Jake from State Farm.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, you're not I ain't putting up with anything. You're going to do what you want. If you have a dragon, you run shit now. Like I'm the captain now, period. Done.
Yeah. But then you are noticeably at the top of the mountain. People are gunning for you.
Sure.
Every time they want your dragon.
Bring it.
Right. Here's the Ratcatcher 2 defense. Now, the rats come and go as they please. She calls the rats. I will be the Rat King and call them and then have them come and go whenever they want. And you can command billions of rats. This is the age-old question of having, fighting 100 horse-sized dogs or one dog-sized horse, or whatever that is, I think I screwed that up. You know what I mean?
I think what the best way to go about this is I get the dragon, you get the rats, we work together, and then when we're done with your rats, then my dragon eats your rats, and then we just use other rats later because you're not emotionally attached to them.
No, they're disease infested.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate.
They will bite. They will pass on their rabies. They will infect the dragon, and the dragon will be no more.
That's true.
Rats can bite through steel.
You made a great case. I look at this and it's like, I mean, who doesn't want a dragon? But at the same time, the rats would be immensely valuable. Yes, 100%. So Can't fault anybody for taking the rats, but give me the dragons.
No, I think the first instinct is to go dragons because that's
Mhm.
like the biggest shiniest present underneath the tree, right? But
Mhm.
I think if you think about it, the rats offer a lot of utility.
Sure. They definitely do. They are valuable assets. There's no question about that.
And they can move in secret in the shadows in the
So
corners.
so that is your pick. You're going rats.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's it. Do we want to do one more? I think that's good.
Nope, I think we put a pin in it and then we leave it at 5. We're at good time and everything like that. And I love the questions that I have left. That last one was a tough choice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I like number two. Number two
Mm,
is good. Number one is also really good.
yeah, maybe I'll use those. We'll use one of those as a table setter next time. I think those are good table setting questions.
Yeah, good
Fun on
intro
them.
questions. Yeah, I like that. Definitely. So that concludes Would You Rather Volume 2. Nope.
No,
There it is.
Would you rather?
All right, good stuff there. Now that Would You Rather is over, it's time for to get your tickets because the train is leaving the station, ladies and gentlemen.
Choo-choo, bitches.
All right, Discharge Depot. What'd you do? What'd you do
uh,
this weekend, Nick?
so well, I had had to do some wedding stuff. Had a good time with that. Thankfully, went smoothly. But so spent some time in Connecticut. But after that, when we got back, I finally saw Hidden Figures, which is starring Octavia Spencer, the girl from the twin from Knives Out, and then the woman from Empire. But it's about 3 black women who really helped shape NASA and like America getting into space and everything. And it was
Mm-hmm.
mind blowing. Like, and I understand it's actually based on a book, which obviously is then based on real life events and everything. I was
Sure.
surprised they mentioned the book at all at the end of in the credits, but it was really well done. And just math minds are nuts. Like I would never want to have a math mind because I would question, how creative can you get? But like
Sure. Yeah.
these it was really well done, very much worth your time. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, why did I learn about the American Revolution 3 times in high school and I never learned anything about this?
Interesting. Interesting stuff. Well, some people say that NASA isn't even real, and that neither is space. Maybe that's why you didn't learn about it too. So,
Ah,
that's just some food for thought here. Speaking of food for thought, Nick, I watched at your recommendation from last week at the Discharge Depot, The Menu
ooh,
on HBO Max. How's that for a segue?
beautiful.
Food for thought menu.
It's good as it gets. No, I know.
Uh, great recommendation. Frustrating movie, very similar to the White Lotus and kind of like the social concepts of what it talks about like the spoils going to the riches and all that
Oh,
kind
okay.
of that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Uh, very interesting. Kind of frustrating.
Yeah. No, I can totally understand how that was a frustrating movie for anybody. But like again, and I keep forgetting the actor who plays Voldemort's name, but like when
Ralph
he
Fiennes, Rafe
finds,
Fiennes. Yeah,
thank you. So I am anytime I feel like when he's in something like I gotta pay attention. Like I gotta at least give it a look. I kind of and like I
it was a
you know bring
chilling role,
yeah he's good, man. He's good.
but I don't want to spoil this, but Nicholas Holt. So his character
Ugh.
is kind of aware of everything that's going on the whole time in advance, and you find that out at a certain point.
Yeah.
Why did he go?
I have no clue. I mean, like, because he's a sycophant, and I mean, we see that with people like who like there are some people who worship at the altar of other human beings in such a shameless way, and maybe that's what that commentary was on. Like, he doesn't care. He likes him so much, he knows what's happening. He just wants him to like him and wants to be in his presence.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, I was blown away by that, and
mm,
but I did love his description in the beginning of the movie to Anya Taylor Joy about why he's so obsessed with food.
mhm.
He's like, some people obsess over musicians or athletes or whatever, and it's called bullshit. This is the bleeding edge of
Oh, you muted yourself, Wes. How did that happen?
Well, huh?
Yeah,
Maybe my headphones disconnected.
I am not sure what happened there, but you said on the bleeding edge, and then you cut out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess my headphones chopped out there. Yeah, it was on the bleeding edge of like life imitating art, art imitating life and stuff. So I thought that little like monologue was really well said. But other than that, very kind of like sneaky funny movie. There were some like moments where I like audibly laughed. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. I wish we had done a review on it. But sometimes it's also good to watch good things and not talk about it on here, and look, because then we're watching things from like a critical perspective every time. Not as much as we don't try and pretend we're critics on here. But yeah, so it was. I really
this might be 2023 might be the year of the hooker heroine. Kind of life being cyclical here. Anya Taylor-Joy was the protagonist hooker, the protagonist prostitute, if you will. The White Lotus season 2, Lucia and Mia, the two characters I referenced in last week's episode, protagonist prostitutes. Maybe this is all going back to Pretty Woman type of whatever year that was, where it's the year of the protagonist hooker.
Well, it is the oldest profession in the world, so about time they're getting their due.
There we go.
But yeah, so good stuff. So just the menu, nice. That's a great pick. Did the missus get to watch it with you too?
Oh yeah. So she liked it. Also frustrated, but liked it.
Sure, it's definitely a frustrating movie. Especially
just leave.
Yeah, he's the worst. He's some of the guys are pretty like, but anyways, and I'm not a big John Leguizamo guy, but I thought he was good in that role. I thought he
was funny.
Yeah. All right. So now it is time to take a quick look at what's going on this week in the DSD #dork. They are talking The Last of Us season 1, episode 4. Of course, we will be reviewing this when the season ends, but Wes and I are still.
Yeah, we gotta get caught up.
Exactly. I did watch episode 3 though, and it was amazing. Mac and Goo, they're talking about James Gunn's DC slate, and they're also doing their 2023 auction draft. I guess they're doing it with Dork. PCP, they are on their protest against podcastings again. Billy is in parts unknown right now, so that could be part of why. So no, I've heard it both ways this week either. As for TLDR, though, you will be able to listen to the interview with the editor of the Massiverse, Michael Busuttil. I'll tell you what, Wes, he's from Australia. Trying to put that together from a time standpoint, like he was great. He's used to it because he works with people from all over. But I was like, I've done with British people, but it's like a 5-hour difference from us. He's a 16-hour difference. So his Wednesday is our Tuesday. So I'm just like, what? Okay. So it was a little bit of.
That's kind of when I talk to someone from California and try to organize schedule times and stuff like that, I'm like, I don't know. I tell them how about 11 a.m. New York time, and then let them figure it out.
I always say Eastern time, and I bold it.
Yeah,
because one time I got burned on it, and like ever since then, it's just like, nope, it's bold every single time. And then for the streamers, of course, you can find Doc and Shime on Twitch at Backcracka and Shime Time, respectively, and then #Dork does all their video game streaming on the #Dork YouTube page.
All right, and next week starts off a solid run here of topics just filled to the gills from now until May 15th. So we got a topic every week until then, starting with the critique of the male physique, followed by Ant-Man and the Wasp, followed by Cocaine Bear, followed by Creed 3.
Oh boy.
So a bunch of very interesting and fun things coming up.
Very exciting.
In the next coming weeks here. So should be some very good things. Of course, you like us and subscribe us on YouTube, CMM Podcast, rate and review, download and subscribe, whatever you got to do on Apple and Spotify. You can follow the Fry Guy on Twitter at Fry_Guy1, myself at Wesley Sykes_, and our podcast on Twitter at CMM_podcast. Next week, we'll be back with a critique of the male physique, but till then, same bat time, same bat place.
Stinky.